Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Hector Saenz with Liberty Tax Services in San Antonio. Hey Hector, I was watching YouTube the other day and preparing for this show, and I thought, I wonder what kind of music references taxes. So have you heard the Muppet tax song?
You know what? I have not.
Oh, we're gonna do our taxes and we're going to do them right, 'cause the IRS is coming and they're brimming for a fight.
Oh, we're gonna do our taxes and I think we'd all agree that doing
So if you haven't heard that song, you should definitely search for it on YouTube. I found it there's some other songs that are not clean.
Yeah.
So I had to search for tax song clean.
There you
go. The Muppets are pretty clean.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, that's a catchy song.
It is, yeah. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the difference between a standard deduction and itemized deductions. And one of the itemized deductions that I heard about recently was the clean energy, the electric vehicle deduction. Tell us how that works.
Yeah, so that one actually falls under a tax credit, right?
Oh,
so
a credit.
Yeah. So
okay, so what's the difference?
So the difference between a deduction and a credit, right? So a deduction is a straight deduction from your income, and a credit will go applied after we know what your tax liability is, right? So this is post, figuring out your actual taxable income. Right, so
one's above the line and one's below the line.
Correct. So you think page 1, page 2 of that 1040 deductions are on your page 1, tax credits are on your page 2.
Okay.
Yep. And then we also have differences between the two types of credits, right? We have non-refundable and refundable credits. So just depending on what type of credit you qualify for, would depend on which non-refundable, refundable credits you get on that tax return.
Okay, and this clean vehicle tax credit is what kind?
So this one's going to be a non-refundable credit, right? So non-refundable credits, really what those are designed to do is bring your tax liability down to zero. So as the term expresses, right, it's non-refundable, so you can't get a refund from that credit.
But if I owed, what's the max here, $7,500? If I owed $7,500 and I bought one of these vehicles, then that might zero it out.
Correct. Yeah, as long as you don't qualify for any other, right? Because there's a whole bunch of non-refundable credits, right? When we apply those, we have to use those down the line based on the form that they fall into. And so, if your, for example, child tax credit, right? If your $7,500 gets wiped out by other credits, by the time we get to the clean vehicle credit, it might disappear, right? Might no longer be available. So if that's the only credit that you do qualify for, then yeah, absolutely, it'll wipe that out.
Well, I only want to buy a clean vehicle if I'm going to get the credit.
Sure. Yeah. No, understood. Yeah, and I think that's why it's probably wise before you do that, consult with a tax professional, right? Make sure that that's going to be a credit that can be applied to your purchase, because just like so we find it pretty common with people that purchase solar panels, right? They buy them because of the money they assume they're going to get back, right, on their tax credit. And we have to explain to them, like, hey, you don't have any tax liability to apply this credit to, right? So unfortunately, there's no tax credit available.
Yeah.
So it's an educational piece at that point where we just have to kind of explain the way that works. Right, and so that's the way a non-refundable credit is, right? So you have to have tax liability to
don't rely on the car dealer
for sure
to tell you if it's going to be beneficial for you.
For sure, yeah, because that's part of what they do, right? They want to make the sale, but at the same time, when it comes down to doing your taxes and you find out you don't get it, that's back on you, right? You can't really blame them for it, but
because they're not tax professionals,
right? Right. So, yeah, if you are going to try to apply that credit, like I said, seek a tax professional. We can review a prior year return to see if there is an opportunity there.
Talk about anything that's changed
Correct.
From last year to this year. So what's also new about this clean vehicle tax credit?
So this year for 24, if you qualify, right, if you go to the place to purchase that vehicle, you can actually apply the credit to the payment of that vehicle, right? So it's no different than if you're familiar with the way marketplace insurance works, right? You're getting a tax credit to help pay for your health insurance premium. Same concept here, right? So you're able to, if you do qualify for the clean vehicle credit, then that credit's going to go applied to the vehicle at the time that you purchase it, right? And so you just reconcile that on your tax return at the end of the year. When you purchase it, the dealer is supposed to report the information to the IRS, right? So IRS kind of already knows that you're purchasing that vehicle and taking that credit for that year, right? So end of the year, you just reconcile that, gets zeroed out since you've already paid it. And but yeah, that's the difference this year, right? Instead of getting it on your tax return, you can apply it straight to that purchase.
But again, this is probably going to apply more to higher income.
It will, right? Because at the end of the day, you do have to have a tax liability, right? So I think there's that kind of that sweet spot there of income earners that will qualify because it does max out, right? So your income can't go if you're married. Income level is at $300,000. Anything below that qualifies. If you're above that,
oh yeah, there's lots
qualify.
of other rules for how this applies also.
Yeah, so you have to kind of find that sweet spot.
The modified adjusted gross income.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So yeah, that's why I tell my clients, it's if you're in that sweet spot, then go for it, right? It's a good decision, good way to kind of buy down that payment, right, using that tax credit. But if you're out of it at that point, it's just, are you using it for luxury or are you using it, that's where your decisions have to be weighed out, right?
Yeah, so you really do need to see a tax professional because it might not be $7,500.
Right.
You might make too much money or not enough money for it to make a difference.
Right. Yeah. So, like I said, you have to find out if you're in that spot, right? So you do have to, like I said, seek that help, professional help to see if you're in there.
Okay, why don't you tell them how to contact you again?
Sure, yeah. So you can call me directly, 210-355-3267, or you can email me, hector.saenz@libertysouthsan.com.
Or you're on Facebook?
We're on Facebook. Yeah, you can find us on Facebook. I think we have an Instagram. I'm not the social media guy, but for sure on Facebook. And then, any one of our offices, right? Any one of our offices can help too.
Tell us a little bit about before you started Liberty Tax. What's your education and experience?
Well, I graduated from UTSA. I started off with accounting, right? So I went through my whole college career in accounting. Was planning to work for a CPA firm at one point. And my senior year, I kind of got interested in insurance, right? Insurance and the whole financial spectrum. So I switched up my major to finance my senior year. Went off to work for some insurance companies, gained a lot of knowledge there, and somehow just full circle back to, accounting, started doing taxes again. It was an instance where I really wanted to have my own company, right? Because I was working for insurance companies. And as I was looking into it, I knew about taxes, knew some of the rules, baseline rules and basics. And so found Liberty Tax, right? Went out to Discovery Day out there in Virginia Beach. And the culture is kind of what sold me, right? The culture of just making taxes fun, right? I know
Really?
It doesn't go hand in hand.
You
but
do that in your office? You make taxes fun? We
do what we can, right? You come into our office, we try to make it not so much like I hate to say it, right, but a funeral home. We've got the snacks, we've got the TVs on. We've Super Bowl time, right? We got our team jerseys on. We make it fun, right? We make sure that we can joke around with the clients and have a good time while we're preparing the returns. Try to calm them down a little bit, right? Because it can be stressful.
Yeah.
So we try to make taxes fun. as much as we can.
I'm glad you mentioned football because I wanted to ask you about that. You played football.
Mm-hmm.
Your son is big in football.
Yep.
So who are you rooting for?
Oh, gosh. Well, it's a hard one, right, because I'm a Cowboys fan, right, and so it's hard to go for the 49ers. But at the same time, I think the Chiefs have just won too many.
Yeah.
Right, they won too many. So, yeah, I might stick with the NFC, go with the Niners. All right, so my daughter's gonna hate me because she's a Swiftie.
Oh, right, yeah. That last game between the 49ers and the Ravens, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was actually a better game.
Yeah.
It was closer.
It was, yeah, because it was a comeback thing, right? I mean, I think the Niners were down, came back, and, you know.
Yeah, I had written them off early on
Sure.
in the game. I said, oh, they're not going to win.
Yeah, yeah. So, no, it's a great game, yeah. I mean, it's tough to watch. Like I said, 'cause my Cowboys went out first round. Kind of expected it, right? I'm not gonna lie. Kind of expected it, but yeah, no, I enjoy watching the game of football either way.
What position did you play?
So I was a lineman, right? So I played. The school that I went to was pretty small, so I played both ways, both ends of the ball. So I was a offensive tackle and also a defensive tackle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So fun, real fun, right? And like you said, my boys play too.
Mm-hmm.
They're both tight ends and defensive ends, so they do very well. I think they picked up that gene from Dad.
That's fun. It's something that you can enjoy together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's your daughter into?
She's into
the dachshund.
She wants the dachshund, yeah. But she's told me before, it's like, Dad, how do I make it to the NFL? I was like, slow down. She's into the same stuff that the boys are, but she's very athletic. If there is one thing I would say, she's more into gymnastics. Right?
Okay.
So she likes the jumping around, flipping, cartwheels, all that stuff, and she's a natural. She's a natural at it.
Yeah, my daughter did that for a few years, and I really liked it because it helped her to stand up straight and be confident and strong.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the same way, right? I mean, there's nothing that'll bring her down. Like, she's always very cheerful, happy-go-lucky, and yeah, she loves doing everything.
That's awesome. Now, we're going to talk about some other credits, the child credit and the earned income credit. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's go down the line, right? So the non-refundable credits, that's a child tax credit, right? So yeah, we can start there with the child tax credit.
Okay. How does it work?
So child tax credit, this is, again, like I said, non-refundable, right? So it's a little confusing for those that aren't familiar with the tax law. So it starts off as a non-refundable credit, right? So if you have tax liability, up to $2,000 of that credit can go towards your tax liability, right? Anything left over will drop down the line to what's called a refundable credit, right? So up to $1,600 right now, the way the law is written, right? So up to $1,600 can be refundable, and so if you qualify for that, you get that back as a refund, right? So it's one of those where child tax credit is what's considered non-refundable. Additional child tax credit is refundable, right? Now, to qualify, this is where a lot of people kind of get in trouble. Right? We're not in trouble, but they see some differences in all their returns when their child turns 17, right? Because their child has to be under the age of 17 to qualify them for the credit. And so we'll see a lot of refunds drop once the child ages out.
Yeah. Right.
So it's one of the biggest qualifications, and of course, obviously you have to be claiming the child on your tax return to be able to claim them. So it's one of those things where you might have a custodial versus non-custodial type thing, and so whoever's claiming the child is the one who's eligible to take that credit.
Okay, we'll have to pick that up after this short break.
Sure.
Because there's a lot to unpack there. Stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.